How to make 100K without making 100K a year. I've been thinking about this too. Something I wanted to talk about. You don't have to necessarily have $100,000 a year paying job to make that. I mean, you can obviously. That'd be probably the easiest way, I guess. But I'm gonna talk about how even though I don't make a lot of money, I still make a lot of money just because of the way I move. And if you're a high income earner, then I guess you can just use these tools to make even more money. And even if you're a low income individual, um, you should be definitely listening because you can take your income to the next level. Well, maybe not your income, but your, let's say, net worth. Now, when I first started using investing platforms, it was about 2019. I was buying Tesla and I was just playing around with it because I was only making $10 an hour. I didn't have very much money and I was just looking at ways how to make money. For me, I seen Tesla do really well. And I think that's what kind of sparked it off in my head. But what if I really knew and if I really had knowledge, I would have been buying just Bitcoin and crypto, right? Because although I was making $10 an hour, if I had bought a bunch of crypto, um, it would have amounted to a lot more because I wasn't looking at Bitcoin at this time, but when I first started, I got an email that said Bitcoin was like $3,300. Now, even though I was making $10 an hour, if I had just put it into Bitcoin and crypto, I would have probably already had $1 million by now, you know? So it's this type of principle where it's not really per se how much money you make, but it's how much money you can invest, and then where do you put your money in investments, right? Because you could buy Coca-Cola stock, right? You're not going to become a millionaire. And it's not always about becoming a millionaire, but I'm saying like, if you have time and you're young enough, you want to just be investing all your money in different things and putting it places. And I'm not saying buy anything, but I'm saying when there's a good opportunity, you need to go for it. And it can really pay off because if you're making, let's say, 30,000 a year, essentially, if you keep investing your money, now everybody has rent, everybody has bills, so it's not gonna be um 100K exactly, but you can start closing that gap, right? Let's say you make 30,000 a year and you have $1,000 to invest, right? So 12,000 a year you put into crypto, maybe some stocks, maybe some comics, maybe some art, maybe different things, right? Over about 3-4 years, as things begin to go up in price and really take off, you may end up with 200,000-300,000. You never know, right? You never know until you do it. I know for me, if Bitcoin was 3,300 when I first started investing. Imagine if I took my $10 an hour and really placed it in there. I probably would have, that's already a 33x, right? So if I had put in $1,000, if I could have found that, you know. I was doing other stuff with my money. It wasn't that much, but if I had just did that, I would literally have like way more money. And I wouldn't be doing this now. Not even mad at myself, right? Because this time I have so many investments, I may actually become a millionaire when this is all said and done. I eventually will. That's my plan. It's not really, I just don't want to have to work. But I'm saying it could turn out to where I become a millionaire just because of how many assets I do own. And this wasn't by being the richest person off top, but it was by diligently investing and looking for it. You got to be searching. I did have a decent paying job before the current job I'm at, so it set me up for that. But technically, you could still do this even on a low income. It would just be slower. But if you get more intricate, you should be able to still make up the difference, right? Because with all the money printing, there is no way but up. So that's just how I feel. If you're making a low amount of income, it really doesn't matter. I'm just telling you right now, it really doesn't matter. What matters is how much money you can invest and where do you put your investments. Um, that's really the name of the game. Now you have to sit back and wait, right? Because I've been preparing for probably 4 years now, which isn't easy. You know, after the last bull run, I cashed out a little bit. I didn't make nearly that much money, um, but I still ended up cashing out. And that's also, you got to take profits too. You don't have to go crazy, but you got to take some profits. But this bull run, I'm so ready. I'm like over prepared. Um, I only play chess and I play to win. So if you make a low income, you still have hope. You have a chance to really pull yourself out of this. But you got to get strategic. You can't just be playing checkers. I only play chess and I play to win, baby. I play to win.